Chris!
Heath,
Thanks for being here.
it's great to be here. It's a great day in general, Heath. You want to know why?
Why?
I'm one step closer to my life's mission of having recorded a podcast in every room of your house.
Because we've done the lowest floor,
I've done
this room.
I've done section of the basement 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, yeah.
Your bedroom, the dining room, and now I'm in this room. What do you call this room?
This is the living room,
Okay.
but it's more of a music room to us.
Yeah, gotcha. Because there's a big piano and a drum set. Cool. How do you decide where you're setting up your PC on any given day?
I mean, my PC was up here shortly after we recorded last episode. And then I was going to move it back down, but you surprised me by being early. So I had to act on the fly and bring the mic stands up here.
I see. Yeah, from my perspective, it's like PC musical chairs. You never know where it's going to be.
Well, here's how turn the table back on you.
Oh,
When are we going to play board games in your room?
in my room?
I don't think I've never seen your upstairs.
Okay, well, I think...
Nor, like, I'm not trying to put that on you. I feel like that's one of our friends would absolutely be like, the next game has to be in your chimney. But that's not me.
Okay. Well, I feel like our social link is sufficiently high that if you want to see my room, you could.
Okay.
Usually you only get to go to your Persona social links room once you're like level 8 or 9.
To quantify it. Okay. You know, I think it'd be funnier, though, if Bailey saw your room before me.
Before you.
Just to be like, oh, you haven't seen it? Oh, it's the talk of the town. Folks, this is Mobius Tubes.
Your favorite video game podcast.
Yeah, and allow me to coin, we know some video game slang,
Of course.
right?
We're super hip.
Oh, should we say the date?
And probably the episode number. This is episode 46 of Mobius Tubes, being recorded on August 7th, 2020.
Yes, and before we get into our week, I'd like to do a new segment called Term Coining. Da 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 da. Yeah. This is the segment where I get to coin a term. You'll understand right away because I've been playing some Dead by Daylight. And Chris, you've heard of a rage quit, right?
Of course.
What's a rage quit?
Rage quit is usually when you're playing a multiplayer game, but not exclusively, and something occurs that is just so upsetting, you have to immediately close the game. And depending on the severity of the rage quit, potentially uninstall the game.
Or yeah, there's lengths to, like you could leave lobby, quit to menu, quit to desktop, or just pull your computer out of the wall.
Yeah.
But I'm not here to talk about that because I never rage quit. Even in Dead by Daylight, when I am the first, if you're the first survivor hooked in a match, it feels like you take your marks and you just trip coming out of the blocks. It's the worst feeling. I akin it to Super Smash Bros. You can get 5-stocked. What's that, Chris?
I think it's when your opponent knocks you off the stage 5 times in a row before you can even do it to them once.
Yeah. And then there's also 0 to death. It's like a shutout. You never damaged your opponent before dying.
That's hard to do.
And there are tons of compilations on YouTube of players getting killed within the first 10 seconds. And I've definitely been hooked in the first 10 seconds of Dead by Daylight, which is unfathomable because you're given so many opportunities first by like not spawning on top of the killer. Despite that fact, I find them right away. And then you can sustain one hit before going down to a dying state, and then they put you on the hook. When I am put on the hook for the last time, I will do what I am calling a range quit. It's only 1 letter difference. Not a rage quit, a range quit, where I will leave my setup. And like we are right now, I'll just go into the kitchen. I'll be productive. I'll bring the trash out from the driveway. I will do any sort of activity while my character is being sacrificed to a dark entity because I don't want to wait for it. I'll go do certain things, although I don't go too far. Otherwise, that would be like a rage quit. I stormed out of the room. No, I only go up to fetch another AAA battery, and then I come back down and find a new lobby. Because once you die, it goes to this like score screen.
Uh-huh.
And so that's what I'm coining it. I'm the first one to define a range. Chris, do you range quit anything?
No, I don't think so. This is interesting.
Do you ever
because
leave your setup to go do something while an unskippable death animation, or I was doing this with Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Now, I don't want to rain on your parade here, Heath, but I need you to differentiate this new term of yours from other gamer lingo. How does range quitting differ from being AFK?
Okay, because
or away from keyboard.
Yeah, if you were to go too far and be away from your keyboard at a time when you were expected to be playing, that would be AFK. Players would be able to see your character not moving and assume you're AFK. But if you range quit properly, they'll never notice, because the only time you're away is during loading screens and expository animations.
Okay. I see. So you could
I thought about this.
You could unknowingly have transitioned from having range quitted to being back into an AFK state, and you're none the wiser if you're far enough away.
Right, which is why the range is tantamount. That's why I'm doing the play on words.
Yeah. What's the
You can't
hard,
go to the mailbox.
What's the hard threshold? How far away can I be?
I mean, it's a matter of time, not distance.
Oh.
Well, yeah. If you can go to like the Erie Canal and be back at your spot before the next game, you're either playing like a really, really poor matchmaking game, or you're the fastest gamer in the world.
So your range is determined by your velocity.
You gotta be back.
This feels like it's turning into a physics lesson.
No, it's just, well, here's the thing, right? So Dead by Daylight matches are appropriate length. And we'll get off of this. I'm wrapping this up.
Okay.
You can be put on the hook twice. Once you've been hit for like a third time, and you know that the killer is going to pick you up, put you on the hook for the third and final time, why stick around? Go heat up some ravioli.
Go range quit.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't hate it.
I mean, you couldn't do it in an automatic respawn game.
Yeah. If it's an instant respawn game, you wouldn't have time to range quit.
Right.
Cool. All right. So that just came to you while you were playing Dead by Daylight?
Yeah. I was like, what do I call this?
and hence this new term was born.
Mm-hmm. So that's the game that I've been playing, and I haven't played a whole much else. You were looking at my docket the other time.
Yeah.
And I texted you my docket. I'm going to have to remove one of the things off of it.
Okay.
Because I was going to make a video about that first one. And I've yet to.
The one that starts with a W?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So that's the whole Heath week update?
No, I watched a movie.
Okay.
It was bad.
Before we do your bad movie.
Yeah.
I want an update from you. I'm extracting it, whether you want to give it or not. Tell me, it's been several episodes now without hearing a single thing about your playthrough of The Witcher 3. I'm assuming that doesn't bode well for it.
It bodes fine. It bodes fine.
Okay.
You know, I'm just...
When I last watched you, you were in the early days of walking around in Velen.
Yeah, I'm still in Velen. Didn't I beat that stone giant?
You either beat him or ran away.
I definitely ran away, but whether or not I went back to him.
And you have met one of the more intriguing characters of the game, the Bloody Baron. Have you done much with him?
I did the sleuthing.
Oh, okay.
We walked around. I looked at all the cum stains in that room, and I'm on the hunt.
Okay.
Wild. See what I did there?
I saw what you did there.
Yeah. So Geralt will get there. It's just...
The Witcher 3 is quite a long game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's what maybe my friendly advice to you would be. This Bloody Baron, he's got a series of side quests. I think the main one is called like Family Matters or something like that. This guy's entire arc here, it's often heralded as one of the best parts of the game. Ooh. Maybe this could be like a nice little summation of the game for you. Maybe you see that through and then...
Well, I'm going to finish the game.
What?
I have to. Because we're friends.
I don't know if you have to.
Imagine if you got to the quantum moon and you were like, and that's all there was to it. I'd be like, no! Granted, even though it might be like the best summation of the game. I'm talking about Outer Wilds.
I'll just leave it at this. If you finish up the Bloody Barons business and you want to call it quits, you will have my blessing.
Chris, here's the thing. I'm going to do a The Witcher tier list.
Oh.
And I'm going to put down all the Witcher media that I've consumed because I'm the foremost authority.
Yes.
And you're gonna be right there when I say like Witcher 1, Witcher 3, Netflix. So look forward to that.
Okay. I'm appeased for now. Thanks.
Okay.
Cool. I've got short updates on my week.
Yeah.
Here's what they are. I've got 2 games, neither of which we've talked about before, so that's kind of exciting.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
That's getting remastered soon.
Okay.
But the only time I've played a Tony Hawk game was in the waiting room for a haircut as an infant.
I was going to say haircut or like dentist appointment. Like that's the only setting.
Yeah, it was definitely on a PlayStation 1. And I remember that 15 minutes fondly.
Oh, yeah.
But all right, here's what I've actually been playing. Let's go in chronological order. Did you know Superhot just got a sequel?
Yeah, Marvel Cinematic Universe. What's it called?
It's called Superhot Mind Control Delete.
Yeah, MCD. Sorry, yeah.
So I played Superhot earlier this year, an indie game from 2016. The tagline is, "Time moves when you move." One of the most cerebral first-person shooters I've ever played, bordering on like a puzzle game. Aesthetically, I've talked about it once this year already, but stark white backgrounds, enemies who are bright fluorescent red.
Iridescent.
Yeah. And any object you can interact with is stark black. So as far as like usability and like clear expressing the ideas clearly to the player, this game has gone for a very minimalist aesthetic. I love that game. I liked how it was almost like a pseudo turn-based first-person shooter.
Oh, yeah. What did you say before? It was like functionally turn-based?
Yeah, because you have enough time to kind of assess your situation at any given moment because time is only moving when you are physically moving your character. And then when it becomes time to execute on whatever plan you've come up with, then you have to do it with the twitchy reflexes. And then as soon as you pull it off, it's back to that, okay, what am I going to do next? And then you have all the time in the world. So this is a sequel to that game. One that's been
a sequel? What? Really? I thought it was just like a continuation.
It's standalone.
Wow.
It has its own store page on Steam. And I've never felt more catered to than with this game.
Wow.
Yeah. First of all, talk about a generous move. The developer of Superhot just gave this new game away out for free to anyone who owns the first game. So it just showed up in my library one day.
That's probably why I thought it was just DLC.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a comparable price to the original Superhot, but not if you already own it, which was so nice. So I just installed it one day. And if you remember, I think my takeaway for the first Superhot was this is such a sweet, innovative, fundamental gameplay loop here. It's a dynamite idea. We just need some more variety now. I want to more fully explore this idea. And this is kind of what Superhot Mind Control Delete does. They add new weapons, they add new enemies, and they get really creative with it. At the same time, this release has been kind of divisive among fans.
Ooh.
Because it's a weird game. I've finished it, by the way, just so you know. It's significantly longer than the first one, by like 2 to 3 times as long.
Would I like it?
Maybe. So guess what? Superhot became a roguelike.
Oh.
Yeah. So
start back at the beginning?
The original 2016 Superhot is a series of handcrafted levels that whenever you boot them up, they're going to be exactly the same.
Grab the gun.
They're very much authored. And because of that reason, some levels have a lot of personality to them. And there's definitely like moments that stand out in the first Superhot. This one is a lot more randomly generated. You do progress from like level to level. And as you go on, they throw in more tools for you to use and more enemies and more obstacles. And it gets wonky by the end. But essentially, you'll be faced with, I don't know, between 4 to 6 encounters you have to play out in a row. You start with 2 lives. Every time you get hit, you lose a life. And if you ever get down to 0 life, you have to start that entire 5 or 6 level sequence back from the beginning. The levels you end up in are randomized. Your position in the levels are randomized. The types of enemies and the sequence they appear from is all randomized. So it kind of blends together a bit. But I really liked it because they totally listened to me, Heath. I said, I would like to see how grenades react in the Superhot mechanics. And they have multiple variations on that. They have like obstacles on a wall that if they get hit, it'll explode like a grenade. They've got new enemies.
Do they have blue guys that come after you?
Everyone's still red, but there's some subtle variations. So some enemies will be...
Some have mustaches.
No. Some are partially white. So if a guy is all white but has a red arm, that means you can only kill him by shooting his right arm.
It's his Achilles arm. Yeah.
It's his Achilles arm. Some enemies, if you used to kill a guy in the first game, he'd drop his weapon and you could pick it up. But some... their weapons are red when they hold it in their hands.
And they blow up.
Which means when the enemy shatters, so does their items. And some, I won't spoil like boss enemies in this game, but one other cool one, I call him the porcupine. He's the spiky looking guy. And if you kill him, upon his death, he explodes like a grenade. Yeah. And shrapnel flies in all directions.
And it's still one hit kill?
It's still one hit kill.
Oh.
To give you, this sounds sounds like they've upped the difficulty, right? And to offset that, you get perks along the way that the game calls hacks. You'll get them like in between levels, and you can find some cool synergies. And you kind of get like a build going. So you have different play styles depending on which run you're doing.
Oh yeah, are we talking like just movement speed or...
Some are bland, like you get 1 extra health point. Some are really cool, like you start every level with a random gun in your hand.
Okay.
And you can find cool synergies such as now my bullet's trajectory continues to pass through multiple enemies.
Oh, stopping power.
So that's nice. But then if you combine that with one that makes bullets bounce off walls towards close by enemies, suddenly you have bullets passing through guys, hitting walls, and then coming back to do more damage. So the synergies are cool. You've got some, like, if you load up on a lot of health, you can find one that turns you into that shuriken-like enemy, where if you get hit, you become like a fragmentation grenade. And the more health you have, like, the more beneficial that is. So that's cool. I like the hack system because it makes every little playthrough a little bit different, depending on what tools are at your disposal. There's more weapons. They added the sniper rifle I wanted. So this is a weapon that a big part of Superhot is kind of leading your shots, anticipating where you should shoot and where the enemy is going to be by the time the bullet reaches them. Not so much with the sniper rifle. The bullet just travels so fast, you can line up a shot from across the entire level and basically have it be a guarantee you're going to land on the target, even if you don't lead the shot. So that's a super powerful weapon. And the part that makes all of these extra variables so compelling is that previously in original OG Superhot, the kind of mental calculus you were doing was a pretty simple equation. When you're trying to figure out who's the biggest threat, who should I shoot next, it's pretty much always whichever enemy's closest to you. Maybe if an unarmed enemy is closer, you'll shoot the shotgun guy who's a little bit further away. But it was pretty simple mental arithmetic in the first game. There are tough decisions to be made in Superhot Mind Control Delete. Let's say a guy's right on top of you and he's wielding a shotgun. Super high priority, right? Except he's a spiky enemy. So if you shoot him when he's standing right next to you, it's a guarantee he's going to explode and the shrapnel's going to hit you. So what you want to do is wrap around a corner. So as soon as you shoot him, you'll be protected. Or, okay, an enemy has a sniper rifle. So he's a threat no matter how close he is to you. So he is much more imposing. His presence is always felt regardless of...
What happens if you get a shot off headed toward the sniper guy, but he's so far away that during the time it takes for your regular bullet to get to him, like, I imagine an infuriating scenario where your bullet is like 3/4 of the way to him at the time he pulls his insta trigger and it kills you. How do the devs fix that?
That's a consideration, definitely.
That never happened to you? Because you just
probably
you're
not.
Expected to just get rid of this sniper instantly.
So the sniper, I was trained to do this. As soon as you see one on the level, your vision cone just burrows in on him. And if you're watching for it and waiting for it, you can dodge the sniper rifle. But it's a lot more difficult than regular bullets.
Okay. Yeah, we're talking like Beat Saber rhythm box speed.
Right.
Where you can dodge one of those. Gotcha. Why didn't you just say so?
Sorry. There's the narrowest of windows. So yeah, I like the mental calculus. I think I like the roguelike level design just because in the puzzles of the original, the stakes were relatively low. Okay, I mess up a puzzle. That's okay. I just start back at the beginning of this puzzle. Now, if you mess up towards the end of a run, the tensions have elevated. You can take 1 or 2 hits total, which means...
Oh, what? Dude, I asked you if it was one hit kill and you said yes.
I thought you meant for enemies. Yeah, for enemies, it's one hit kill.
Okay.
You start each run with 2 lives. So there's some leeway there. But yeah, since you're always just 1 or 2 mistakes away from death, as you get closer and closer to the end, you start to sweat a little bit. And I kind of like that tension.
Are there Donkey Kong abilities to throw cover?
No. There is an ability you can... so you start with 2 life by default. Then there's a couple things they call cores. Maybe you remember from the first game, there was like an enemy switching mechanic where you could like switch to someone else's body. That is what's considered...
and your body would be an enemy.
Yeah, you can switch away to get out of danger. That's considered a core now. So instead of that core, you have cool ones like start each level with a katana that you can recall to your hand, God of War style.
Yeah, you beat me to it.
That one's a lot of fun, especially if you like...
Core, more like Thor. Oh.
Yeah. So that's kind of all I have to say. The ending is weird.
I was gonna say, after you beat a level, does it go super hot mind control delete?
It never throws in the mind control delete. You want to hear a weird... This has been patched out to be less egregious.
Oh, what?
But upon...
What, is it like Deadly Premonition anti-trans messaging?
Nothing like that, but when you beat the game, you're met with this timer, and you can't continue playing the game for fun anymore until you've waited 8 hours.
What?
In real game time, letting the game just run in the background. They have since...
A streamer's nightmare.
Yeah, they've patched this to now only be 2.5 hours.
Okay.
Much more reasonable, right?
That's such a questionable duration.
So upon beating Superhot mind control delete, I took a little run outside and then went to an eye doctor appointment.
God, you rage quitted.
I range quitted.
It was still playing in the background.
The range on my range quit was a lot longer. So I liked it just because everything I wanted to be in a Superhot sequel was there and it was free. So I just felt like the developers were like catering to me exclusively. It was great. So now I can transition. Any final questions?
Does it set up for a sequel? A threequel?
Technically, this is the threequel because there's the VR spin-off game. But no, not really.
Okay.
Nothing narratively. But I have faith that they can make this idea even cooler by putting in...
Blue guys.
Blue enemies, yes.
What were you going to say?
I didn't have anything in mind.
Okay, well, I'm glad I interrupted then. All right. The next game, which is even hotter than Superhot.
Is it? Okay. You know I've been playing this game. I've been playing A Plague Tale: Innocence.
Yay! What does it look like?
It looks...
like Darkest Dungeon?
Really good.
Oh.
Yeah, they're going for like photorealism here. So A Plague Tale: Innocence is a game that came out in 2019, last year. And I was under the impression it was a smaller team that made it. No, they're like pretty big. I think it's like 140 employees.
Oh, they're like a Remedy size.
Yeah, it's a French developer, so that's cool.
They're like a Quantic Dream size. That's
because they're also French.
Yeah.
This game, I looked up this studio, which I am blanking on their name. I'm sorry here. They have a fascinating history because they made a whole bunch of Pixar movie tie-in games. So from the developers of Ratatouille and Toy Story 3, the video game, comes A Plague Tale: Innocence.
Asobo Studio.
Asobo Studio, thank you. And they're also making the upcoming Microsoft Flight Simulator,
which is gangbusters among all those flight boys.
So this is a studio I have no familiarity with. They seem really interesting. This game I like so far. If I want to give you a very crude idea of what this game is, I'm going to crudely call this Ye Olde Last of Us. Because this is a game set in, I think the year is 1348 during the Black Death. But like a fantastical version of the Black Death, because it's not just like, oh, rats are scuttering around on the streets. It's like fountains of rats are erupting through the concrete pavement of the road.
Don't drown.
Spewing like geysers of rats. And there's like waves of them crashing over the populace.
I hate rats.
So this is a kind of a gross game. You follow these two young aristocrat children, the Darun children. You play as Amicia, I'm thinking teenage daughter, and her younger brother, Hugo. And much in like how in The Last of Us, you have a pair surviving in the apocalypse, an older one trying to protect the younger one. You have this other familial bond story here, the older sister trying to protect her younger brother from the rats and also from the Inquisition, who is hunting them for mysterious reasons.
I didn't expect that.
No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. So first of all, you don't see many games set in this time period. So big props to you, Asobo Studios, for the novelty there. This game is kind of, it feels a bit out of place playing it in 2020. What do I mean by that? It is like a super linear blockbuster kind of game that we saw a lot of last generation.
It went the way of Uncharted
2.
Yeah,
it's so linear. It at times feels like it's on rails. It is primarily a stealth and puzzle solving game. Combat is very minimal. The main combat you do is with a sling. So,
oh my god, yeah, throwing bricks in Last of Us.
Yeah, this is throwing pebbles in A Plague Tale,
which are the bricks of the Dark Ages.
Right. We hadn't yet invented bricks.
Yeah, thank you. Oh my gosh, Chris, you are worth every penny.
So, I'd say it's pretty easy. I have never been stuck in this game.
Is the G a rat?
The G.
It is a rat.
Oh.
Look at that G.
You mean in the graphic design of the game's title?
Outstanding.
Gotcha.
That's all I care about. 10 out of 10.
Okay. Here's something I would give it props for. You know, children protagonists could easily come off as being annoying. This pair of protagonist children, they're really likable, but they also don't come across as adults in children's bodies. So they've really found that healthy balance between realistic but not irritating.
Yeah.
The story is kind of what's driving me forward, that and the resource management. Because much like The Last of Us, this game has a heavy crafting component.
Yeah, pebbles.
So anytime you go a little bit off the beaten path of this very linear game, there'll be some resources for you to collect, be it cloth.
What's the most valuable resource of the Dark Ages?
Cloth is pretty scarce.
Water.
Oh, no, I'm just swimming in water.
Okay. That's funny because you said it as I'm swimming in X to indicate abundance.
Right.
But because it's water, it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
What's kind of cool is the resources you use to craft your ammunition for gameplay. They're a shared resource you also use for doing like permanent upgrades, like making your sling have a faster reload time or not requiring Amicia to. Usually you do upgrades at a workbench. You can make it so she doesn't need a workbench anymore.
Nice.
So you're kind of balancing, okay, do I need more of these fire pebbles or should I be long-term planning for that cool big upgrade? Because they share the same resources.
Where are they going?
Where are they going? They're on the run. They're trying to avoid the Inquisition, who is...
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Who are hot on their heels. They're also trying to, as you'll learn in the opening minutes of the game, Hugo has kind of a unique affliction to him, and they're searching for a cure for that.
Does it manifest in the form of detective mode?
There is no detective mode in this game.
What? That's a first.
That is a first. So... I like it. It's pretty short.
Imagine Superhot had detective mode, but all the enemies are glowing red to start. So it just adds the text detective mode, but doesn't change anything of the visuals.
That would be some very meta commentary. I like it.
Thanks.
I haven't actually finished this game. I'm more than halfway.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's going to be about 10 to 11 hours long. While I don't think it does anything particularly interesting in the gameplay department, I would recommend it on its production values and its cool narrative. So it gets the pass from Chris.
All right. Here's a thing that was supposed to have a cool narrative but didn't.
Oh.
The movie Arrival.
I'm not familiar with this film.
Okay, so it stars Amy Adams.
When did this come out?
Like 2016, 17. It's the big egg thing.
Oh, okay.
And the smoky circles. So this movie got nominated up the wazoo. And I assumed because it was a cool plot, like aliens come down and they leave 12 obelisk-looking things. And the Americans are like, we got to figure out why they're here and whether or not they're a threat. There are Chris, we can talk about how, like, the generic military gotta kill, it's the enemy, you know. And China's the same way in this movie. There's always, like, generals who are like, I have my orders. And then soldiers that are like, they can't be trusted. There's literally like an Alex Jones character that convinces these GIs to try to headshot these aliens.
So far, this is sounding kind of tropey.
But it was supposed to be really cool because Amy Adams plays a linguist.
Okay.
That they bring in to try to decipher the alien message.
Oh.
And we basically try to, like, teach them our language and learn their language. And do you care if I spoil the movie?
I don't care, but we should just give the warning to the listeners.
Okay. I thought this was going to be a really cool movie, and I watched it with Bailey and anticipating such. I would not recommend it. I feel like it has all of the twists of a Shyamalan Nolan film.
Okay.
With none of the they don't earn it.
Oh.
Like I said, in the beginning of the movie, you're just getting constant flashbacks of, like, Amy Adams was a mother who lost her child to an incurable illness, and she's like a really sad professor. And they do this fun thing where at the beginning of the movie, everyone's reacting to the aliens touching down. Like, they landed. What do they want with us? And Amy is so depressed because we just saw this flashback of her dead daughter that she's just going through the campus. And it's just like 6 minutes of her, like, woe is meing to the parking lot. Meanwhile, everyone's like, should we buy food? Like, what do we do? You know? And so that's kind of like, it's funny to, like, laugh at her. But it keeps going, and she goes back to her house for, like, another flashback and then goes to work the next day. And only then does the general show up and is like, we need you to decipher this. And you're like, okay, the movie arrived. All right, let's hear it. And she turns him down in a snarky way and then goes back to being sad until she get in a helicopter to be brought to Montana where the aliens touched down in America. There's 12 encounter sites or whatever.
Okay.
So much of the movie is like, all right, we got to get you vaccinated before we suck you up into the alien pod. Do you have any allergies? Okay, here's this physicist. He's going to be working with you. Definitely not the love interest. And it's like, oh my God, we're holding our hands. We should already be sucking up into the pod by now. And then once you get into the pod, it's like over and done. She's already taken off her hazmat suit. And I'm like, what are we doing? And then they montage in, like, the middle, the parts that I want to see. The aliens figuring out how, like, each human has a name. Those Sherlock Holmesian moments where, like, she's in there making contact and, like, that the piecing together of the clues.
Yeah.
I wanted that, but they kind of, like, just montaged right through it. And, like, 5 minutes in, she's just got an Excel spreadsheet of all these blurry circles because that's their written language. And they're just trying to figure things out. And I think I'll get into the spoilers now. The CIA guy is like, we can't wait any longer. China, Pakistan, and Russia are all about to nuke these aliens, and they're not giving us their information. And Amy's like, no, we got to collaborate as a global society. That's the only way we'll get all the pieces that they left for us to figure out. And what you learn is that they experience time non-linearly.
The aliens do?
Yes.
Oh.
And she finally gets like super sucked up into like the even deeper layer of the pod because they can't exist in our atmosphere. So there's like a cloudy wall. She gets it behind the cloudy wall and she's all like, my eyes kind of thing. And you learn that through future projections that the aliens like assumingly beam into her head, she is able to solve the crisis by calling the Chinese general and convincing him to stand down by reciting his wife's dying words through a military cell phone. And you find this out in like a revelation type scene when she's in the cloudy alien soup and she's getting these visions because the aliens don't exist on a linear timeline. And it's very like flash forward. And the general literally says like, I can't believe you were able to convince me to stand down, especially when you said XYZ. And then it's literally Amy going like, and then picking up a phone and being like, yeah, like reciting to the man, you know, and the CIA is like, drop the phone, Amy. And it's like, they don't understand. Well, of course they wouldn't understand. You jumped the shark with this sci-fi premise. And then you also find out that the dead daughter that we've been getting flashbacks for the whole movie have been flash forwards of the daughter she will have with this love interest physicist guy. Oh. And you're like, this is so like, my brain, but it wasn't earned. This was not the thing I signed up for. I signed up for like a Sherlock Holmes style investigative, work together. I wanted the characters to be smarter, but I got nothing but these like Chameleon twists, generals who are like, we have our orders. We got to pack up and move before they connect the dots. Yeah, that's what I have to say about Arrival. Please watch it and validate my opinions.
I see. Based on what you had to say about it, I can definitely see how that would seem like an unearned twist.
But it got nominated for everything. Everyone's like, oh, her performance is amazing. And her performance is good because it's like single mother type. But look at how they loved it. They loved it. And I am this solo green splotch. There's not even a green splotch I can reference. But, it was like, what are we doing?
I'm sorry to hear you didn't like it, Heath. But I liked your passion.
Right? That's what I bring.
And with that, should we take a break and then return with some hot new news stories?
Yeah, let's do that.
Sounds good. And we're back.
We're back.
Heath, it's time for me to toot my horn once again.
What did you do?
If we think back to last episode, we were talking all about Microsoft's big Xbox Series X showcase and how they were really making a strong case for you really need to get on this Games Pass service.
Oh, yeah.
It's just such a great value. And I made the prediction that...
This is recurring segment, Chris Stradamus.
Chris Stradamus. I said, okay, I'm telling you, in about 10 years' time, we will see this Game Pass service of Microsoft's find its way onto other platforms. It turns out we did not need 10 years. We needed about
10 days.
10 days.
Yeah.
Our first news story this week is Xbox Game Pass is coming to Android phones and tablets in the middle of September, just 1 month away. All right, so Chris, Game Pass is a service where...
Yeah, Chris, Game Pass is a service where players can, for a premium fee, do all these Microsoft games, but they're on the console.
Right, they're on the console.
Yeah.
You download them to your console and then play them natively there.
Yeah.
That is not going to be the case for Android devices. Most of them won't have the raw horsepower to do so. So... at the same time, Microsoft is launching their xCloud, which is their equivalent of Google Stadia It is their video game streaming platform, which I think they've said xCloud is just a temporary name. They'll have like a real marketing name for it. But this is going to allow anyone with an Android device and an Xbox Game Pass subscription.
Wasn't Xbox a marketing name? No. What am I thinking of that was a marketing name that stuck?
I think
Super Mario 64?
I think Xbox was a marketing name. It's pretty obvious. Like, what are we going to name this box?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well,
variable
placeholder Xbox for now.
And that ended up being, so the xCloud, they're one to talk.
Maybe it does end up being called the xCloud. So this is huge news.
Will it work? Like, does Stadia work?
Yes, I think so. I mean, yes and no.
Stadia, you have to like pay for it and then pay for the games.
Potentially, yeah. I don't think they've gone with their free subscription service yet.
Game Pass,
you just pay for the service and then you get the games.
Because they live on xCloud.
Yeah. You will just need a device and a high-speed internet connection and your Game Pass subscription, and you are good to go. So this is a big deal just because, okay, I said Microsoft was casting a wide net last episode, and it just keeps getting wider. And I don't know about you, Heath. I think this makes a ton of financial sense. If we're comparing the Sony's super traditional, we want to sell you a console approach to this one, I don't see any downsides with Microsoft's strategy. Do you see any downsides?
They're trying to mitigate their losses in their console sales by pushing their services beyond how they've ever been.
Yeah. The big benefit to having people buy your console box is that anytime people purchase third-party titles for it, if I buy Call of Duty for the PlayStation, or Madden for the PlayStation, or BioShock for the PlayStation, the console manufacturer, Sony or Microsoft or whoever it may be, they get a nice 30% cut of that sale.
Wow, 30%?
That's traditionally been what it is.
Okay.
Although people like Epic have been trying to reduce that cut. Okay, so that's a pretty big perk to having people buy your console. But here's the thing. This Game Pass on Android devices, that's going to super appeal to who I would assume is kind of the more casual gamer. People who maybe don't want to buy the big expensive console and just want to play a select number of titles instantly on a device they already have. Let's say Microsoft went with the traditional strategy and they managed to bring all those casual players in and buy Xbox Series X's instead of this approach.
Good luck. Yeah.
But let's say they did do that. First of all, the margins on console hardware are very slim. Even sometimes console manufacturers will sell them at a loss just because all the profits in console games is made on the software, not the hardware. So the fact that people aren't buying the box itself isn't really an issue. That's not where Microsoft would have made its money. Microsoft would make its money on people buying a lot of software for that console they bought. But if this is a casual audience who buys just a couple games a year, Microsoft isn't losing out on like a ton of these missed opportunity console game sales that the casual audience would never have purchased. The casual market are just going to buy the couple games they want to play on their Android device now. And Microsoft doesn't really suffer for that. I could make the same kind of comparison on the other end of the spectrum where, isn't Microsoft missing out on a bunch of console sales by putting their games on PC? Won't PC players now they won't buy an Xbox console? But if you're a person with a beefy enough computer to be playing, like you or me, to play the new Halo on a computer.
Or a different game.
Sorry. You probably have that computer because that's where you like to play your video games, which means if Microsoft had convinced you to get an Xbox just for their small smattering of exclusives, you only would have purchased the exclusives on the console. Microsoft was never going to get your huge third-party support. You never would have amassed a giant library of Xbox games. So I think this makes a lot of sense, and we will see if maybe Sony follows suit.
No. What in the form of what? Like giving away Spider-Man.
Opening up their walled garden a little bit more. We see them just testing the waters a little bit with Horizon Zero Dawn landing on PC this month. And
they're not going to give away Spider-Man. They're not going to give away Bloodborne.
Bloodborne on PC has been shouted into the ether for a while now. maybe it finally happens. I don't know. I think it'll have a lot to depend on how well Horizon does on the PC. That was that, but this is the perfect segue into even more Microsoft news.
Yay!
This will be a shorter one. Last week we talked about Halo Infinite. It got a big trailer. We said we don't really know anything about its multiplayer mode, though. But now we do. We know 2 things about it. The first is the bigger one, is the multiplayer component of Halo Infinite is going to be free.
Which makes sense if it's going to be a super long servicey game.
Yeah, that is definitely the trend. We've seen this kind of compartmentalized approach with the most recent Call of Duty Modern Warfare, where the game is $60, but the one little chunk of the game, the Warzone Battle Royale mode, that's free to anyone. So this compartmentalizing of Halo Infinite is interesting. It's worked really well for Call of Duty. I think it could work really well for Halo. It's noteworthy because it's never been done for a Halo game before. And what's particularly potent about this is anyone with an Android device willing to pay $15 a month for the xCloud service and Game Pass
could pick up a battle rifle,
could be playing Halo,
climb into a warthog. A warthog.
And step into the shoes of a Spartan. That could be really big. That kind of potential install base for all Android users, all PC, and anyone on Xbox One or Xbox Series X, this could be like a moment. I don't know if it will be a moment.
It could.
It could be.
It could be like the most prolific congregation of players since Fortnite.
Yeah, I want to say it could be, especially because all indications point to Halo Infinite will probably have a Battle Royale mode in it. So just because Fortnite is so popular because it's on mobile, effectively now Halo is going to be on mobile too, which could elevate it to new heights or maybe new lows. I don't know. But the other noteworthy thing is the Xbox Series X version of Halo Infinite multiplayer is going to be running at 120 frames per second, which is unheard of for a console game.
True. Yeah.
This may partially explain why when we saw the game running for the first time, it looked a little lackluster, but if it's running at a frame rate that high, that kind of explains some of it.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a move I would have made. I love frame rates that are that high. It's just that if you're buying a console, you're probably going to plug it into a TV. TVs have refresh rates of 60 hertz. I don't think this is going to be a tiny fraction of people who ever see their Xbox Series X Halo running at 120 frames per second.
A tiny fraction of console owners with as beefy a screen as their console.
Right. Having a TV with a refresh rate of 120 hertz is a much more niche feature than even like 4K resolution.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird. It's much more common to see computer monitors with refresh rates that high. But then that begs the question, hey, if you already have this high-end computer monitor, aren't you probably buying this game for your PC? Why are you buying an Xbox Series X to plug it into your monitor? So just a baffling move, but a one I think is cool.
I mean, parents aren't going to be thinking about this.
Right. I wonder how many people will say, oh, I can't wait to see what Halo looks like at 120 frames per second. Plug it into their 60 hertz TV and go, I don't really notice a difference. Because this is something that's not inherently obvious.
Mm-hmm.
So that was another interesting tidbit. They're taking weird risks with Halo multiplayer. And that's all the news I've brought for this week, Heath.
What will he predict next? Tune in next time on Christodamus. Now over to Heath, who has things on his Twitter. Here's the news. Animal Crossing sales have hit 22 million as Nintendo profits rise by more than 500% year on year. This is from IGN. And Chris, you're a guy that says year over year sometimes.
I do.
What does this mean? Explain this to me.
If we compare Nintendo's profits at this point in the year 2020 to what their profits were at the equivalent point in 2019.
This is 500% better.
Yes, they're 500% greater.
Okay.
So that's kind of fun to dig into. Obviously, Animal Crossing was a big success, both because of the quality of the game and its timing. It had impeccable timing.
Oh, yeah.
Providing this kind of a social experience, but you can do so remotely. You know, for as much criticism as I would like to give Nintendo for 2020, having put out Animal Crossing and then seemingly nothing else. Okay, we got Paper Mario. I'll give them that. But then nothing else on the horizon. I'd like to give them crap for that. But at the same time, they've quintupled their profits.
Yeah.
So who am I to judge?
That's what this quote tweet said. This is from On the Down Low, though. No wonder Nintendo doesn't feel the need to host a direct or anything. COVID affected them bad, so they can hit the cruise control, right? Because they're banking.
Yeah.
Echoes your sentiment.
They don't really need to hype us up because they're pocketing everyone's money already.
Yeah. So that was the news. In other news, Dr. Disrespect is back.
Yes, we've been waiting for an update on this.
And he echoes not knowing why he was banned.
Okay.
He maintains that they didn't do anything that would warrant a ban, let alone a suspension.
Yeah.
And that's just like, wow. And he goes on to say, like, there will be people who say, like, I find that hard to believe, but that's amazing.
Yeah, okay. Obviously, maybe he has an incentive to say that, but let's take it at face value. That's kind of scary that such a big platform holder as Twitch could be seemingly play favorites to this degree.
Yeah.
Where has he returned to?
Oh, he's on YouTube.
Okay. Is it like back to business as usual, or is this like a new era of Dr. Disrespect?
It's back to business as usual. He had at most 500,000 people watching it at one time. And to put that into terms on Twitch, he would get an average concurrent viewership of like 40,000 people.
Oh.
So 500,000 was pretty good for his return because everybody just wanted to know.
Right.
And were starved for it because he hadn't been streaming for a month and a half. But when he came back, it's more of the same. He's got the same. He has great production value, but it's like the same sort of layout. He's still just playing video games.
Yeah.
But I still love his sense of humor. And he's really, like, to put it into terms, he's really just like a drama kid, but like the jock that was asked to do theater and took to it very well.
That matches up with my perception of him perfectly.
Right? So
yeah.
he can put on an act and commit to a bit, but it's all in the name of violence, speed, and momentum. And like, yes, so he started his live stream with just a photo of a gas station, and it's raining, and it's just that his 80s music on loop interspersed with these radio disc jockey like VFM news network, and then he plays like this news anchor character named like Danny Bambini, and basically being like, nobody's playing Valorant. The viewership is down. There's a new character even. Well, I couldn't tell you what he does because all I see when I plug in is VFX, VFX, VFX. So he's roasting the industry. He interviews himself briefly.
Okay.
As this news character that you're just overhearing from his Lambo that's parked at this gas station. And I listened to that last night while I was working, and it's great. He is such an identifiable brand, and I'm so glad he's back. Even though he's, I couldn't care to like watch him regularly. Just his energy is what I signed up for, and
got it.
Thank goodness he's not gone for good.
Right. And I hope if Twitch wronged him, he finds a lot of success on YouTube.
Yeah.
Very good. Was that this week in news?
Yes.
That's fine that it's a little bit shorter because we have a lot of other things to cover.
We do.
So obviously we're going to save Mobius tunes for the very end. But we have a choice now, Heath. We can either do emails or the Fantasy Critic Publisher Draft.
Which one's first?
Yeah, which one is first?
We'll do the Fantasy Publisher first.
Okay, sounds good. Well, should this be
what's convention?
Should this be a 3-break episode?
We could do it. Yeah, sure.
All right. Heath and I, in the very beginning of January, had a little competition running. It's going all year long. This is brought to us by a website called Fantasy Critic. Heath and I have both stepped into the role of a fantasy video game publisher. Heath, what was your company's name?
Heath.
Yes, a play on Electronic Arts. I think I'm Quintessential Chris Games. So these are our two fictional publishers. And we both drafted a lineup, like a football team lineup, of games that are coming out throughout the year 2020. And the goal was to pick the games that score the highest on OpenCritic, which is just one of the critical review aggregation sites. And I believe initially we drafted 12 games. As the year goes on, Heath and I can bid money to acquire up to 20 games total. So this is going to be another update. We check in how things have been going. We do another round of drafting, and there are stakes now, Heath. Can you remind everyone back home what the stakes are for winning this competition?
The loser at the end of the year must go into Assassin's Creed Odyssey and generate a user-created story quest for the winner to play through to both their amusement.
Right. So that's a lot of fun because we both spent so much time talking about AC Odyssey this year.
And boy, do I love putting lots of effort into tiny bits.
That was very apparent last episode.
Yeah.
All right, let's check in. Heath, I have good news for you. This is the first time you've been in the positive.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, so Ghost of Tsushima came out and scored favorably, netting you, it got an 85 on OpenCritic. You got 15 points off of that. You have only had 2 games come out on your entire docket.
You know, I favored the end of the year because we like to finish strong in the video game industry.
Yeah, we do. We got a couple more updates for your list. Unfortunately, Horizon Forbidden West was confirmed not to release this year.
What was that going to look like?
What was that going to look like?
Yeah.
Like visually?
Just anything to remind me of what that game is.
That is the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
No problem. So that was shown at the PS5 reveal event. That's not releasing. Also, this was a weird one. Rogue Legacy 2, which was announced for the summer, turned out just to be like a early access beta type of thing. So I guess it's not getting a proper release this year, which means no one's going to review it.
Well, it matters not because those 2 goose eggs are, I just rationalized that they might have been negative had I chosen something differently.
Unfortunately, Heath picked up a lot of negative points when he counter-drafted Half-Life Alyx. So his total net score right now is 9 points. Interesting, Heath also counter-drafted Halo Infinite. I assume that's going to pan out better for you than Half-Life Alyx did. Hey, this is Chris in post-production with a breaking update. Lo and behold, it did pan out better for Heath because Halo Infinite was just announced to be delayed out of 2020, now releasing in 2021. Heath and I will probably discuss this at greater length next episode. Over to Chris. A lot of my games released in March, so I don't think a whole lot has changed since our last check-in, with the exception of The Last of Us Part 2 came out and scored very well, which is in and of itself an interesting conversation because outside of just like critical video game reviewers, this game was divisive as hell.
It was.
For a game that had such a, I want to say a backlash to it, for it to be my most critically reviewed game so far at a 94, giving me 27 points, is kind of weird.
Lucky you.
Lucky me. I've seen some conversations going around of like, are video game critics out of touch with their general audience?
Or yeah, like once it's through the honeymoon period of launch, do we change the rating or yeah?
This is a conversation that fascinates me, but I can't weigh into it at all because I don't know a single thing about that game. I've avoided all spoilers.
It's got strong woman.
Okay.
She's very buff.
I know who you're talking about. I know that much. She's got hefty arms.
Yeah, I'm intimidated.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
So that's kind of all the movement. I had a lot. How many games have come out for me? 1, 2, 3, 4,
More than half.
5, 6, 7, 8. I've had 8 releases compared to Heath's 2, putting me at 149 points. You're only down by 140 points.
I'm a late bloomer, Chris.
Late bloomer. So that's where we currently stand. Heath and I currently have 6 vacancies we can still fill. And we have our budgets. We both started with $100 that we could spend. I am down to $73 remaining. Heath is almost the same. He has $74. So this is money we can bid on other games coming out in 2020 that put on our rosters. The way we do that is Heath and I can nominate a game. We will bid back and forth. Whoever backs out doesn't get the game. Whoever pays the highest loses the money, gets the game. It's pretty standard stuff. With that said, Heath, you are losing. So I will, of course, defer to you. If you want to be the first one to nominate, feel free. Otherwise, I have some games in mind too.
We'll try you nominating first just to move this along.
Okay, cool. Here's one I want to put up for bid. Spelunky 2. The roguelike cave diving indie game, 2D perspective. The original, I think, released as like a Flash game originally, but eventually became a hit in 2012. And it's finally getting a sequel. So I want to put Spelunky 2 up for auction. It's an indie game, but people really like it. I think a fair price would be $8.
And we have 6 slots available.
We each have 6 slots available.
Okay. So I can afford to do like 11.
Okay. I'll go 13.
I'll back out of that.
Okay. I'm going to take Spelunky 2 for $13.
Okay.
All right, Heath. Let's throw it over to you. What do you want?
Bug snacks.
Oh, bug snacks.
Let's go. Bug snacks.
That seems like it's going to get a cult following around it.
Tell the fans what bug snacks looks like.
It's from the creators of Octodad. Comedic tone going on. You're on a tropical island. There are
Food-themed animals.
And insects. And
like a centipede made of hot dogs.
A bug snack, if you will. And you eat them and acquire their abilities Kirby style. I think that's what's going on.
Spore style?
Interesting. Okay. So definitely has a lot of charm to it. I've seen its song thrown, there's a theme song that plays for the game.
La la la.
Yeah. Very popular. How much do you think that's worth, Heath?
$7.
I will give you bug snacks for $7.
Hey!
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Shall we bring it back over to me?
Can you pass? Probably.
What do you mean by that? If you don't want to nominate anything?
Right.
Yeah, you can pass.
Okay.
Here's a big one. Let's throw Spider-Man Miles Morales up for auction.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's coming out, presumably as a launch title for the PlayStation 5 from Insomniac. And you have a chance to counterbid, of course, but this is a big boy. I think I want to put a price of
30.
That's what you're thinking? Okay. I was going to auction it up for $16.
Yeah, I'm just going to do 20.
20. Okay. 21.
25.
You can have it for 25.
I got Black Spider-Man. Not to be confused with Black Spider-Man.
So you've spent 32 so far? 74 minus 32, 42. I've spent 13 so far. I'm down to 60. Did you have another one you wanted to nominate, Heath?
Let's do Deathloop.
Okay. That was going to be my next one anyway.
Yeah.
The Chris bait right here.
Mm-hmm.
What's your initial offer, Heath? You have 42 left. I have 60 left.
19.
Oof. You're going to make me pay for it if I want it. 19. That's more than I wanted to pay for Deathloop, but I'm coming in for my arcane friends. I'm going to bid 21 for it.
You got it.
Okay. Deathloop goes to Chris. I'm pleased with that. I spent 21 for it. Which brings me down to $39 to your 42. Over to me. I'm going to nominate Crash Bandicoot 4. which is interesting. You know, we had the Crash remasters come out in 2017, built a lot of hype. Now there's Crash 4. It's About Time, is I think the subtitle.
I love that title.
It's very self-aware. Seemingly, it seems to be kind of keeping with the quality of those remasters, maybe having some new ideas. I think it could be promising. So I'm putting Crash 4 up for auction, and my initial bid will be $13.
And we each have 2 games?
We each have done 2, so we both have 4 vacant slots left.
Oh, okay. You said 13?
13.
How much money do we have left?
I have 39, you have 42.
All right. I don't want to be a dick, but
You're going to say 14?
I was going to say I will say 15.
Okay. It's yours for 15.
Nice. Okay, good.
Being a dick during a high-stakes corporate espionage bidding session is allowed.
When I'm so close to the red, yeah.
Okay, it's your turn to put something up for auction if you are so inclined.
I mean, do you think Bayonetta's coming out?
Yeah, high risk, high reward. That's up to you. Big old release date of TBA on Bayonetta 3.
Yeah. We'll try Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2.
Is that allowed?
To bid on?
Yeah, it's the status
Comes out September.
The status is coming up as available.
Because it's a remake. Yeah, you're right. We ruled those out.
I would say maybe let's not do that one.
All right, that gets ruled out.
The options get a little bit less appealing at this point.
Can I do one of Xbox's launch titles?
Yeah.
If I think that'll come out?
Yeah. I mean, what game do you have in mind?
Let's do As Dusk Falls.
As Dusk Falls, the one from the David Cage protege?
Yes.
Okay. And that has an unknown release date, or what does it say?
I mean, hype factor 0.
Okay, and it has a big old TBA release date.
But it got put in the trailer.
Yeah. This could be a case where they don't know the exact date, so they didn't announce anything, or maybe it's a next year game. We don't know. You could get a favorable price on it, though, because I'm not very risky.
There's no release date for As Dusk Falls. It's expected to come to Game Pass when the time comes. NBA 2K21.
NBA 2K21, the basketball game.
Yes.
That we know is going to be $70.
The only reason I know about it is that it is expensive, and what we equate with a high price tag,
High quality.
high critical acclaim.
And what do you think that's worth in our...
$50. I won't make you keep track of cents. I'll do $1.
$1 for NBA 2K21. Huh. At that price, it's worth it. Like, that game will get at least middling reviews. How about $2?
You can have it.
All right. I get NBA 2K21 for $2.
Like, if we chart how much we paid for it across how many points we got, I'd be super curious to know.
Like the ratio?
Yeah, of what was the greatest points per dollar of any game.
I'm going to nominate Kenna Bridge of Spirits. It's an indie game shown off at the PlayStation event. I think there's some, the team behind it is known for their animation work. So it's pretty. It looks kind of like
what
an
is
action.
This, the Blender movie?
The Blender?
Remember the Blender movie?
No.
Doesn't that look the same thing as Kenna?
There's definitely some similarities there.
Whatever. I saw a dark-haired girl in a wooded area.
It's looking at action adventure-y. I think this game is worth $12.
Oh, you can have it then.
All right.
It doesn't give a date though. It just says 2020.
Little bit risky. Maybe I overshot that one. Good thing NBA 2K21 is going to
make up the difference.
Make up the difference. All right. I've spent so far
probably you're in the 20s, aren't you?
I have $25. You have $27.
Okay.
You have $2 more than me.
Okay.
You still have 3 vacancies. I have 2 vacancies.
The medium.
Okay. the psychological horror switching between worlds at an instant kind of game.
Yeah.
Coming from, I think, people who brought us like Layers of Fear and The Observer.
Okay.
Other respected horror games. Cool. What do you think that's worth, Heath?
$9.
All right, $9. You can have it for $9.
All right. Maybe I overpaid.
Bringing you down to 18 left. Over to me. All right, I'm getting to the point where I feel about equally about everything that's left. Call of Duty 2020.
That's coming out? It's gotta come out, right? Yeah.
Which we talked about last week, leaking in the Doritos ad. Code probably going to be called Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I want to put up for bid.
Okay. And you have 25 of your 25 to spend.
Yeah, I want to do
bid
12.
I'll let you have it.
Okay, I got whatever COD 2020 turns out to be called. I got it for $12.
Yeah. Couldn't I have bid on Mind Control Delete the first time?
Yeah, you could have.
Damn.
I don't think we knew about it.
Imagine if we were on the cutting edge.
Right. I have one vacancy left. You have two vacancies left.
Okay.
Heath.
And
I have $18. You have $18. I have $13. What do you want to put up for auction? Oh, Crusader Kings 3.
Yeah, Crusader Kings 3.
From Paradox. So it's a big, hefty strategy game.
Yeah, Crusader Kings. This is $6.
in our bid. Crusader Kings 2 is a lot of for some people I know it's like their favorite game. And it's been a long time without a sequel. But is this the kind of game that critics like really gravitate to? That I'm less sure about. If you want it for $6, Heath, it's all yours.
Cha-ching.
Which brings you down to $12. I have $13. So basically I'm not going to nominate a game and take it.
Wait, should I have said $4 for this so that I could have stolen
something else
of yours?
Yeah, you should have. Even $5 would have. No, $5 we would have been tied.
My producer in the background would have told me to be like, no, 4.
Yeah.
And then you, if you were like smart, you would have been like,
5.
Yeah, damn it. We need
We'll be better at this game next year.
This is great television. This game might be viable next year.
Right. This is a weird year to do it.
This was like, yeah.
So just for everyone, so everyone knows, Crusader Kings 3 was on my short list of things to consider. But the games that I'm left with debating between are Microsoft Flight Simulator, Axiom Verge 2, Watch Dogs Legion, and Godfall. Those are the 4 games I'm debating between. Which one do I want the most? I think I want
Axiom Verge 2.
I think I do want Axiom Verge 2.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it for $13, bidding the rest of my money, and that'll be that.
I'll pick up Watch Dogs Legion.
Nice. I think that was my other finalist.
All right.
And that's going to do it. So in summary.
Wait.
What?
Is any dollars remaining contribute points?
I don't think we've set it up that way.
Because that could make a difference. Granted, no, we would have bid completely different.
True.
Through this whole game. So, no, we're done.
All right. Just to summarize what took place here, we both acquired 6 new games. I picked up Spelunky 2, Deathloop, NBA 2K21 for that bargain price. Kenna, Bridge of Spirits, Call of Duty 2020, whatever that's called, and Axiom Verge 2. My competitor, Heath, he also picked up 6 games. They were Bug Snacks, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, The Medium, Crusader Kings 3, I didn't expect you to go for that one, and Watch Dogs Legion. So very good. I think this is we both got a solid list of games here.
Yeah.
And now we wait for basically all of Heath's games to come out and see how they do. And we'll check in probably just one more time on this, maybe 2. And that'll be it for the Fantasy Video Game Critic Publisher Draft.
The first annual.
I'm
not going to go down. And like, if I win, I feel like, and we're done.
Right.
But if I lose, I'll be like, who could have predicted?
All right. So that brings us to this week's emails section. Heath, if you're listening to this and you want to write in and be a part of the show, how could you do that?
You could go to email mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com and send us your emails there.
You sure can, and we like to pride ourselves on reading every single one. And unfortunately, Heath, last episode, we upset a few people, and I could preface that further and say I upset a few people because I have some feedback to address this episode.
Okay.
We'll do the simpler ones first.
Is it constructive feedback, or are you just taking your lashes?
I've got words for our listeners.
Okay.
First up, the subject of this one comes in as Engineer Hour Follow-Up. The saga continues, Heath.
Yay.
So this is from electrical engineer Justin. He says, "F you, Chris. You are not a fellow engineer. We have computer engineers. We don't need computer science majors. You might have the title of software engineer, but you are not an engineer by trade. Just because you have a title doesn't make it true. Thanks to only Heath, hashtag Team Heath for life, Justin." So Heath, this is mostly for me to address here. This is the second round of the "Is Chris actually an engineer" debate. And to Justin, I only have this to say.
Do you have a written statement?
Just on a regular Chrome,
Wikipedia,
Chrome browser, type in the word engineer definition. This one seems reasonable. The definition, according to Google, is a person qualified in a branch of engineering, especially as a profession. And I just so happened to have Googled branches of engineering earlier and found a Wikipedia page dedicated to that very topic. And there, in addition to electrical engineering...
What's the hierarchy, though? Because if it went alphabetical, it would put computer engineering above electrical engineering.
Oh, I don't remember those details.
That'd be funny, though.
I'm also not a computer engineer. I'm a software engineer, which has its own entry on this Wikipedia page. So, Justin, you're free to disagree with the statement that Chris is an engineer. But in doing so, I'm afraid you're also disagreeing with the way we use the English language. So, I mean, more freedom to you, but I think it's a pretty open and closed case. Chris is, in fact, an engineer.
Wait, so when you said that a computer engineer is not the same as a software engineer,
correct?
Is that like like the modern equivalent of a psychiatrist is not a psychologist?
No, a computer engineer is proficient in the discipline of manufacturing motherboards and microchips and physical computer hardware, while a software engineer does the GUI software parts.
You know what? Getting back to electrical engineer Justin saying that you're not among his ranks.
Yes.
Do you know what a Teamster is? Obviously, you played Disco Elysium. But do you know what a Teamster is?
I don't know any Teamsters personally.
Okay, but like a Teamster is like a union man who like belongs to the collective bargaining entity of like local such and such.
Okay.
And unions are really powerful, right? Because they can collectively bargain, they hold massive political power.
Sure.
I'm technically a Teamster, or at least I was when I was working on films, because the union covered the transpo people. Because when you think of a Teamster, you think of a truck driver. The Teamsters union included those truck drivers, the casting department, and the locations department. So I was technically a Teamster, but I have like no loyalty to like the hard fought union, like better wages, workers' rights kind of thing.
Okay.
It just kind of like fell into my lap. So the real Teamsters are kind of like, you're not part of our like fraternal brotherhood, much in the way that Justin, the electrical engineer. So I'm right there with you, feeling. Although I'm not trying to claim any undue titles.
Would you not call yourself a Teamster? It's like a technicality?
I wouldn't.
Okay. So that was the...
But thank you for writing in. May this saga continue.
This is what people really want to hear about on Mobius Tubes.
Yeah.
All right. Strap yourself in for this one, Heath, because it's a doozy.
Okay.
It seems Justin, the electrical engineer, was not the only person I upset last episode. We got quite the novel from Mobius Tube superfan Nathan.
Nathan?
Hello, Chris. And he only addresses me here.
Well, I'll listen for the subtext.
Here's a serious email for you. Your perception of multiplayer games is quite, how do I say it, wrong. So this is addressing, if you go back to last episode, we did our controversial and unpopular gaming opinions. And I had something to say about multiplayer games, and this is what Nathan is digging into. So you can reference that if you want the full context. But he grabs this quote here. He says, you say, multiplayer games do a poor job of actually justifying themselves as being multiplayer games. They largely fail to capitalize on the most interesting, dynamic, and sophisticated component of the game, that being the humans actually playing them. That was the Chris quote. Back to Nate. Well, Chris, your whole speech, not a single time did you actually mention playing multiplayer games with, get this, one or more of your friends. Gasp. In all seriousness, just play a multiplayer game you like with some friends, Chris. You give examples like Fortnite, Halo, Gears of War that contain bots of some sort, and you say some games just substitute bots in, and you get the same experience. Well, I don't know how long it's been since you have played multiplayer games besides the first few rounds of Fortnite, but no one plays against bots, and I mean no one. Do you suck at the game and want to practice? Sure, then you can play against bots to hone in on your skills, but otherwise, bots are not really a thing people play against for pure enjoyment. And even if they were, you still missed the whole point on why many people play multiplayer video games in the first place, including myself, because I get to talk to and team up with my friends. Most of your argument seems to revolve around this perception of a person or persons you are playing against and how you can't really interact with them or even know they are real. I would agree that in a lot of games, save for some trash talk, you don't really have that much meaningful contact with your opponent. Why? Well, for the same reason that LeBron James isn't trying to sit down with Kevin Durant and debate or trade resources or who gets to score a basket in the middle of a game.
Wow.
Staying with this sports analogy, let's assume you like to play basketball, and some of your friends do too. You end up playing a pickup game at the gym. However, Christopher whines and pouts.
Yeah, he laments that, I could be having way more fun practicing my free throws.
The quote he uses is, I can't negotiate or interact with the other team in a meaningful way. All they want to do is take the ball away from me. What a limited and constrained interaction. Where is the sophisticated component to this game? That sounds ridiculous, right? But then why is your entire argument against multiplayer video games focused on either this hypothetical bot or an unknown opponent you are up against? I don't find inherent joy in playing against other people. I enjoy it because I get to hang out with my friends and work towards a common objective that is fun in the process. So why, Chris? Why do you have this narrow view of multiplayer games? I went on to say, this was me speaking last episode, multiplayer video games are essentially single-player experiences and do not properly leverage all the unpredictability and human elements that are provided by playing against real flesh and blood people. What's the first thing I do whenever I play a multiplayer game? I find myself muting everyone in the lobby. Ah, I see, says Nathan. Chris, you talk like you have never played multiplayer games with a group of friends. Me and my friends still crack up and laugh about ridiculous moments in multiplayer games, and we often reference different games we played together and the fun times we had at those moments. I'm a part of your board game group, so I also know we do these sorts of callbacks and have memorable moments to laugh about and reminisce.
We do.
And what makes those board games fun are the social interactions that occur along with the game. I would argue I have a very similar social interactions with my friends while playing multiplayer video games. You start with your perception of board games and try to use that as a benchmark for measuring entertainment level of multiplayer games, and that is a very, very narrow way to look at them. Your perceptions seem to be chained by the fact that you don't seek a group of friends to play with, and instead rely on the strangers you are paired with to bring you some sort of social fulfillment, which is the absolute wrong place you should be looking. In all my years of knowing you, Chris, you have not asked me to play a single multiplayer game with you ever.
Yeah.
I will leave it at that. Nathan out.
All right.
Hopefully you feel my reading did it justice there, Nathan.
Round of applause for that written TED Talk that Nate put in the work. Chris, your rebuttal.
I should mention, I peruse our Mobius Tube's official email, This email came in hot. It came out mid-recording. So I am going to respond to this off the cuff, nothing pre-prepared. Nathan, I think you and I can find a lot of common ground here. There's a lot you said that I do agree with. And you're right. If I want to use video games as this kind of social forum, this shared activity to interface and hang out with friends, oh yeah, they serve that purpose very, very well.
Like launch pad for camaraderie.
Yeah, this is a very valid, and I would argue probably maybe even a more common perspective you're presenting, Nate. Here's where I might pick apart your argument a little bit. You argue I'm using video games as a way to hang out with friends, and it's a lot of fun. Chris, why don't you just have fun with your friends?
Why you gotta be such a downer? Yeah.
To that, I would say, okay. But at that point, we're both kind of in agreement that the game you're playing itself is of secondary consideration. The point we're getting together and doing something is to hang out with each other. The main focus of this entire activity is socializing, is talking with your friends, shooting the shit, and banter.
Yeah.
The fact that the game's shooting mechanics are maybe a little unpolished does not even really register.
Yeah.
And to that, I would say, okay, yeah, what other activities are better when you do it with friends who you enjoy the company of?
Book club.
I'd say literally every activity. I'm not going to praise the merits of watching paint dry, even though I could have a great time in a room with my closest friends watching paint dry.
Ooh, I would go through all my favorite glossinesses.
Because
eggshell.
Even though watching paint dry is super mundane and not at all engaging, I'm in the company of people I appreciate, and we're just inherently gonna have a fun time together. So the fact that I am criticizing the multiplayer video game experience, but you say, hey, I'm still having a great time. Look at all the cool interactions I've had with friends. I'd say, yeah.
That's misplaced.
That's praise levied on your cool friend relationships, not the game. So
you're just so charismatic, Nate.
Yeah, you're just, I enjoy your company, Nate. What can I say? Here's maybe something I'd ask you, Nate. Wouldn't you want both? Wouldn't you want the camaraderie of the friends and to be very engaged on a cool interactive level in the game itself, where it's not just basically virtual digital tag, where in a first-person shooter, whoever can click the trigger and put the cursor on the opponent first is going to win? What if that
was more sophisticated than
yeah,
that?
What if both the social interactions you were having with your friends, which are great, what if those were there and the mechanical interactions with your friends were also equally sophisticated and great? Wouldn't that just elevate the experience even further?
So sophisticated that you couldn't be doing it without your friends.
Right. And
you couldn't be doing it with bots.
And yeah, the bot thing, you're right, Nate. I realize people are not playing online shooters with bots. That was just an example of if bots can theoretically be a substitute without severely altering the experience. What does that say about the human component of the game? That it's fairly minimal. I realize no one is actually playing Fortnite exclusively against bots. Oh, I want to actually quote you, Nate. You got some of my quotes.
Yo, get cross-examined.
Here it is. Towards the end of your email, you said, my being Chris, my perceptions seem to be chained by the fact that you don't seek a group of friends to play with and instead rely on the strangers you are paired with to bring you some sort of social fulfillment, which is the absolute wrong place you should be looking. And I want to throw back at you, Nate. Why does that have to be the absolute wrong place I'm looking? This is back to the board game example. Board game conventions are often heralded as a great way to engage with new games you've never played before and meet new people you've never met before and foster relatively long-lasting relationships, people you want to seek out when you return to that same convention next year. And the types of mechanics board games employ facilitate that kind of fostering of a relationship. You're right. Multiplayer online video games don't foster that kind of relationship. And that's my point. That's what I'm getting at here. The mechanics and the way you interact with other people is so limited, is so, I'm going to say, rudimentary, that, yeah, long-lasting friendships are not the common rule to be had online. They're the far-flung exception. And I don't think it needs to be that way. You could argue the anonymity of the internet is a bigger barrier than board games. And yeah, I acknowledge that. But there could be progress. And that's what I'm getting at here. Multiplayer games could be a better interactive experience with your fellow human being. And if you're having cooler interactions with someone in the game, doesn't that inherently make you want to get to know them more as a person? I would argue probably yes. Yes, it would. That cool memory you make in the game serves as an anchor to embed you into kind of getting, oh, I'm kind of invested in this person now, not just this stand-in for a bot. And that is my off-the-cuff rebuttal. But Nate, I do agree with you. I think it's worth noting because I think there was one thing I do want to walk back from last episode that was too harsh. I said because of the limited online interactions, there's no reason to play a multiplayer game. But you're absolutely right, Nate. That's only approaching them from one perspective. If you approach online games as a perspective as, hey, we're doing this activity to hang out with remote friends I can't otherwise see, or even friends who are in town, that's totally valid. You shouldn't wholeheartedly give up multiplayer video games because they serve that shared space with friends purpose very well. But I'd argue they don't do very well. The perspective I was approaching it from was from a very analytical, is this pushing game
utilitarian
design? Yeah, is this pushing game design forward? Is this innovating in any way? From that kind of perspective as like, what do these games do to advance the medium? That's where I had my issues in it. And that's the end of my conversation with this, Nate. So if you have more to say, Nathan, please write in. We can have this be multiple part rebuttal, much like Is Chris an Engineer? And we can address that next episode.
When he said, I don't see what the problem is, just play with friends, you'll see for yourself, it's fun. That's sort of like telling an incel, just date a woman, you'll see that it's fun. And it's like, that's not really addressing the root of the problem now, is it?
Are you saying the root of the problem is I have no friends who want to play with me?
No, I'm saying that Nate is sort of shortchanging the argument and as this, like, just do it yourself kind of.
Nah, I'd say he was advocating for me to just approach online games with a different mindset. I will not refute that being in a lobby full of your friends focused on the same game, regardless of the game's quality, that's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And on that, we can agree. That was this email section.
If you want to send us emails, like I said, just go to mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com. And we'll definitely address any emails we get. Cool, let's take another break. I know I need one. And then when we come back, it'll be volume number 7 of Mobius Tunes. See you then.
And we're back. Chris.
Hey.
You have 3 games to my 2, right?
Oh, what is our current record?
Yeah.
Well, that's impossible because we've done this 6 times so far.
Oh.
I think the current standing is I've won 4 games to your 2.
What? Really? I'm that far back?
I'm afraid so, Heath.
Mobius Tunes is one of my favorite games. I love guessing. I love listening to video game music in general, but I love listening to Chris's 5 songs and guessing the games from which those songs originate and guessing them with no hints. But if I do need a hint, I get fewer points than if I didn't use one. And typically, the highest scoring games, typically we score anywhere from 5 to 12 points.
I'd say like 7 to 12.
Should I be feeling good about this
Heath,
round?
Taking some feedback to heart, I feel like I really did you dirty last round. I have come up with the ideally balanced difficulty curve on my song selections this time. If we had a dozen different focus testing groups, they would all unanimously agree this has been finely tuned.
They would all perfectly fall along that bell-shaped curve that measures fairness.
Right. And I stepped it up. I've come up with ideal hints. I've come up with pre-programmed hints here that
delightful.
I think you will get a kick out of.
We will put me in the guessing chair first.
Okay. And I will guess second. I'll just let you know, Heath, I have a theme this time.
Good.
I have stolen one of your themes.
What?
I want to say this is like the second time we did Mobius Tunes. I want to say this was your theme from that one. It is games appearing on a Nintendo console.
Okay.
But this time it is the Chris interpretation of that theme. I put my own Chris twist on it.
Oh, no.
So you will have to see what is in store for you this time.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Song number 1. Yeah, colors with his fire of flame. Da, da, da. We them boys. Okay. This is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
It sure is. Now, Heath, do you have a favorite Smash Bros. Theme?
Yeah, Brawl. Yeah.
Brawl's your favorite.
Yeah. The
okay.
friggin' Latin music.
Yeah.
Do you hear what those lyrics are?
I've only seen like misheard lyric videos of that song.
Oh, right, because it's like, hurry, mama. Yeah. No, those lyrics are about a hero returning to his hometown to like avenge something, and it's like so cool.
Okay.
It's so cool, and then you're supposed to like apply that to like Kirby or something. But is this your favorite Smash song?
It's in contention with your favorite.
Okay.
I can't even call to mind the Smash for Wii U theme.
It was. I mean, I have it on my phone, so
Okay.
it's just uplifting orchestra.
Gotcha. None others use actual like English
Vocals.
lyrics like this, do they?
No.
Okay, just the Latin lyrics from Brawl.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this one.
Yeah, that sounds great. And then I listened to the Silva Gunner remix, which puts in, I think, Waka Flocka's vocals too,
Okay.
in honor of Attica.
Nice.
So-
Well, you got the full 3 points, Heath.
Excellent. All right, song number 2. Wow, Chris. This, I just want a shopping spree of my own. This isn't from a game. It's
Ooh.
just the Wii shopping theme.
It is. This is the theme that plays on the Wii Shop channel.
I owned a Wii, but even if I didn't, I just needed to be around a millennial to have heard this song.
Right.
Am I wrong?
This one's pretty ubiquitous.
Yeah.
Fun fact for you, Heath. So this is the...
Please regale me with the hints for the first
Oh,
one.
the first one was, you already know this. This song is not from a game per se, but it's from a certain console's digital storefront, that being the Wii. And this storefront was active until last year.
Yeah.
You could still buy and download games from the Wii Shop channel up until January 30th of 2019. It is now, its servers are shuttered. You cannot access the Wii Shop channel.
Oh, so the music is lost?
The music only lives on YouTube.
Okay. Granted, maybe if you mouse over the app in the Wii menu, it
Maybe.
would play this.
Oh, yeah, if you like click it
But as
before
long as you
launch.
didn't launch it.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe.
Hope we can hope.
No, I mean, who's got their Wii still plugged in and doesn't like immediately go to Wii Sports?
Only, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
It's a pretty catchy little song.
Oh yeah, we love it. We love it. Crushing it, Chris.
You're at a full perfect 6 points so far.
Song number 3. Yeah. All right, Chris.
You know this one too.
What a cultured man of culture. Well, I mean, what's her face? Min Min?
Min Min.
She just came out.
Yes.
And if we know anything about ARMS, because that's where this song is from, this is the main menu theme.
It is.
And not only do I know this song, I know the history of the instrumentation, because one of the YouTubers I subscribe to, Scruffy, breaks down the Brazilian origins of this song.
Okay.
And just look it up. I won't show Chris. Chris, what are the hints gonna be?
I was going to say, this fighting game is relatively unique for incorporating an optional motion control scheme. So, not many fighting games.
That narrows it down to like Wii boxing.
Yeah. And then
ARMS.
second hint was just going to be the allusion to Min Min appearing in Smash. Like, a character from this game recently appeared in Smash Bros.
Great.
This song slaps, and the only
because it's ARMS.
the only thing there is to dislike about the ARMS theme is that it was wasted on ARMS.
Oh,
It's such a good
It's a fine
theme.
game.
I
imagine it's probably well tuned.
Yeah, and they
As
they
much
had,
as Splatoon is.
they had cool post-release content that they trickled out. So yeah, maybe I'm a little harsh on ARMS, but I feel like the game's quality does not quite reach the heights of this main theme.
All right, yeah. But man, I am.
You're at a perfect score still.
mopping this up.
9 points.
If I don't get into the double digits, I have it calls into question your quality assurance team.
Right.
Song number 4. I mean, it's I don't even have to have known you,
Okay.
and I don't think there's vocals coming up. But this is just like Moon River 2.
Oh.
So I'm like, I almost want to be like Golden Wind, but it's too cheery for that.
Sure.
That was a JoJo reference. I'm just gonna wait until this chorus kicks in. Like this, I don't want to say it's like Wario Wears Ashley. Do you know that song?
No.
Okay, well that one's a standout of the Wario catalog of music. That's like the one to know.
Okay.
But I'm going to fade this out for us and say that this is Bayonetta 1.
This is Bayonetta
Yeah.
1. So yeah, Moon Rivers I have done before. That was from Bayonetta 2. So technically still a different game. This is the song that plays during the end credits.
Okay.
It's called Let's Dance Boys. Yeah, the hints weren't that crazy for this one. I was going to say...
But do you hear what I'm saying? Where I thought it was going to be like, Joe.
Yeah, I was going to say, as a hint, this game was directed by famous Japanese game designer Hideki Kamiya, who has also worked on notable games such as Resident Evil and Devil May Cry.
He's the funny guy that doesn't talk to... Or he bans
No.
people on Twitter?
The funny guy who... Which guy you're talking about?
The funny guy who bans people on Twitter.
I don't know who that is. When you say funny guy for Japanese game designers, I immediately think of Yoko Taro.
Oh, I think of Suda51.
Oh, yeah, he's another good one.
There's so many. Kamiya literally blocked someone for praising a game he created. Yeah, Kamiya has a whole thing. Yeah.
He does?
Kamiya's whole thing is that he blocks people. I don't know him as the Bayonetta man. I know him as... Yeah, he blocks everybody. And I think there was like a stretch goal for one of his games where if you contributed, he would unban you.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's really leaning into it.
Yeah, where is the Mega 64 clip?
All right, Heath, you have not needed a single hint so far.
All right.
You are at 12 points. Are you starting to sweat, Heath?
This is the closest I've ever flown to the sun.
This is the closest anyone has ever been to getting
even more than Icarus.
a perfect score on Mobius tunes.
All right.
Here's where I predict you.
I'm just the biggest Nintendo fan.
Evidently.
Yeah.
But are you big enough for my 5th song?
Well, this 5th song is the biggest of the 5
by file size.
All right, the final song. Blap, blap. Dig it. I was going to say Ollie King, but I don't think that's been on a Nintendo console. Oh, this is a jammer. Oh, this is a jam. Live and learn. Oh. These vocals are English? Yeah.
They are English.
But this is not in Persona 5. Wait. Is this from that other Persona game that people were saying that qualified Joker to be in Smash before P5 came? People were like, oh, but you could put him in because of this one. Persona Q? Q2? Let's I'm pausing the music. Let's say Persona, I think it's called Persona Q.
You want to guess Persona Q? Yeah, that's your guess?
It's either like Q or Q2 or Q4. Let's just go Persona Q.
Heath, this song is from Persona Q, Shadow of the Labyrinth.
I did it. I'm the Nintendo god.
A Nintendo 3DS exclusive.
It sounded like a Persona game, but was way too old to be 5 or 4.
You got a perfect 15 points, Heath.
I may be losing in every other competition,
Yeah.
but don't even come to me when it comes to music.
Yeah, so the hints, I prepared so many hints.
Yeah,
You didn't need
yeah.
any of them. I was going to say, this 3DS exclusive is a spin-off of the Etrian Odyssey RPG franchise.
Oh my god.
And sees the player navigating maze-like corridors in first person. I wasn't expecting that to really help you.
Never
This
would've
is a
got
cross.
that.
It has the gameplay of Etrian Odyssey with the characters of Persona. So the second hint was going to be, this game is also a Persona spin-off and crosses over the cast of Persona 3's specialized extracurricular execution squad with Persona 4's investigation team.
Oof.
The one that actually has Joker in it is Persona Q2, which incorporates 3 casts of Persona characters crossing
Wow,
over.
that's a lot.
That's like...
How could one series have so many casts?
I know. So yeah, this is Maze of Life. I think it's the game's main theme. It has other bangers in it.
Should get its own stage.
It should. So wow, I am shocked and amazed you got that last
I
one.
take the crown.
All right, I'm going to now...
Shocked that I knew it was a Persona song, or that that's among the Persona games on my radar.
The latter. I did not expect you to even know what a Persona Q was.
Yeah. I didn't. How could I have cheated?
You couldn't have.
Yeah.
You are the music guy.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
feel so good.
Until I tie you and it all goes out the window.
Chris, how could you possibly tie me? Because my theme for this round, it's the Wild West theme.
The Wild West theme.
It's my like cowboy tumbleweed music that I joked about, right?
You've teased this theme, right?
Western music. Yeah, you wanna go through this after I did like a good genuine round. You want this joke round?
Let's do it.
Okay, here's your first song. Yeehaw. I'll tell you this.
Okay.
My difficulty scale
Yeah.
is backwards.
It's backwards.
This is the hardest one for you to guess.
Why did you do that?
The
Will it
last
become obvious?
one, yeah.
Okay. All right.
It won't become obvious, but I felt like that was the most palatable form.
Okay.
Because, like, it wouldn't have been nearly as fun if you got to the end and it was like, yeah, this could be from anything. Because that's the joke, right? Is that it's not from Red Dead Redemption, which is the cowboy game.
Yeah. This sounds more retro, I want to say, than a Red Dead. If this feels like it's probably from like a 3D platformer, and then one of the levels is like the Western themed level.
You will come across those.
I've really got no idea. How about we do an old Chris standby guess? Is this from Mario 64?
It is not.
Okay.
That would be even more dated, I feel.
Okay.
Or no, I mean, you could hear Slider in your head, right? Where it's like, like that's the, yeah, that's probably pretty close, actually. Your first hint, Chris. This is a wild Pokemon battle theme.
A wild Pokemon battle
From
theme.
a Pokemon game I played.
Heath played. That narrows it down. And it's not Pokemon Stadium. No way. did Heath play? Heath likes Generation 3, I want to say. I don't know what the third generation of Pokemon games is called.
We went through it.
I know, we just went through this. Is it from the third generation of Pokemon games?
Technically?
Oh?
Technically?
So Red and Blue is Gen 1.
Is like Rogue One from the third generation of Star Wars movies?
Good analogy there.
It's not in the OG trilogy,
and
right?
It's
not a part 8.
Yeah. Whew. All right.
This is my hardest song.
I'm fine if you don't. Yeah.
It's a wild Pokemon battle theme from a Pokemon game I played.
All right. My guess is a Gen 3 Pokemon game, and you're free to tell me I'm wrong.
I guess you're right.
Okay.
That's the same thing as me being like, it's from a prequel Star Wars movie. That could be 3 movies.
Oh, so is this song only occurs in one of the games?
Yes.
All right. Would you tell me what games
This song
occurred in Gen
debuts
3?
in this game and is never heard again.
Okay. And it's, so like, if we were talking current gen of Pokemon, it appears in Shield and then not in Sword.
Sword and Shield is Generation 8
Right.
or 9?
Right.
We're talking about 3?
Yeah, the analogy is it's only
Is it a
in one
mainline
of them.
Pokemon game? No.
Oh, then I wouldn't say it's a part of Gen 3 then.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay.
All right.
Well, it's a spin-off as much as like Rogue One is a spin-off.
Pokemon Snap.
Rogue One is a Star Wars movie, even though it's not.
I would not call Pokemon Mystery Dungeon a part of any of the gens, because the gens are for the mainline games.
Sure. Okay. All right.
So you're saying this is a spin-off game and therefore not a part of one of the main gens, and therefore my guess was wrong, which is fine. You can just give me the next hint now.
This is the spiritual successor to Pokemon Coliseum, whose title contains an early emoticon for laughing.
What? Like it's what's the emoticon?
Think about it, because you know what emoticons are, right?
Yeah.
Like the most proto form of emojis.
Yes.
Where like a colon and a parentheses is a smile.
Yeah.
What was, and is still sometimes used as the symbol for laughing, just with ASCII characters.
Is it bracket D? No, not bracket. Or like sharp bracket D. No, that's angry face.
That's like a eyebrows.
Is this Hey You Pikachu?
What's that?
I think that's a game.
What's that? That's like, hey you, Pikachu. Oh my God.
Right on the money, baby.
This
Hey You
is
Pikachu.
a virtual pet video game for the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, this is the game the song is from, correct?
No.
What is
right.
this game, Heath?
This is Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness.
XD Gale of Darkness. Yeah, I don't think I could have gotten there.
I said it was the successor to Pokemon Coliseum.
That does nothing for me.
I mentioned, like, I've done so many Coliseum songs.
Right. I've never heard the phrase Gale of Darkness ever uttered.
Okay, but if you said this is from Pokemon XD, you would have a point right now, but you don't. I mean, this is going to be a shutout. This is going to be a perfect game shutout. All right,
if this is truly your hardest
listen to
song,
this banjo haunt you. Okay.
If this is your hardest song, I don't think it's that egregious.
Let's find song number 2.
Yeah, definitely Western.
Definitely Western.
Adheres to the theme.
Some cowboy vibes.
I like this song better than the first one. Just personally. This one sounds more somber. Not quite as lively.
I tried to make these hints hyper generous to accommodate this theme.
So far, the track record hasn't been great. Is this a Call of Juarez game?
Oh my gosh. You know I should have picked one of those.
You should have. Is it not?
No, it's not. Your first hint. Despite what you are hearing, this is the same game I used in which you play as a spaceman.
Oh. This is Toy Story 2, the video game.
Yes, it is. Why does that make sense?
Because you play as Buzz Lightyear, acclaimed astronaut.
Friend of...
Woody?
Who is a cowboy. That's why it's this is Al's penthouse. 1 point, right? No, 2 points.
2 points.
2 points for you.
Don't shortchange me.
Sorry, that's like a billionaire being like, how much is a candy bar? $30? You know, like their perception of wealth is so skewed that it's like, how much do you get? Oh yeah. So you get 2 points. Moving right along. This is song number 3. Song number 3 is wildly different. Sing it with me, everybody.
Cowboys can't shoot slow.
This is grating.
Wait for it. Again.
I should just take a guess to make this end. Oh. All right, so this has to be a pretty cheesy game, right?
Willing to laugh at itself.
Right. All right, Heath. This game has got to be the Gunstringer.
What is the Gunstringer?
The Gunstringer
You are inventing
is
so
an original
many...
Kinect game for the Xbox 360. One of the few that was allegedly okay.
No, but I guess you're on the right track.
I'm scrambling for any Western games I can think of.
I know, this is like a real esoteric theme. Your first hint? This is the jingle for the Perca-Cola machine double tap root beer.
So this is a Call of Duty game, and one that includes zombies. I don't remember this being in World at War. Double tap root beer. Is this the... I'm just going to say this has to be Call of Duty Black Ops.
Chris, World at War was its debut, but it can be heard in all of the Call of Duty Black Ops games.
Okay.
So yeah, you get 2 points.
Very good.
My second hint was going to be, this game can be heard across a decade, because World at War came out in 2008 and Black Ops 4 came out in 2018.
It's in every Call of Duty game with zombies in it?
Yes.
Okay.
And have you heard all of these jingles? Some of them are so funny. Like, do you remember these at all?
I remember some.
Like Stamina Up. Yeah, this one. You will move faster.
Just like it now.
And speed is faster. Yeah, amazing. And they have a new double tap for the Black Ops ones. It's slow.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't like it. Do you want to hear PhD Flopper? This, remember, Black Ops. It takes place in like the 60s, unlike World at War. So the music style matches the time period of the game.
Okay.
So this is the 60s jingle to go with this one.
I like that.
Yeah. Cool, right?
All
okay.
right. I'm at 4 points. Was that your third or fourth song?
That was my third
All right,
song.
I'm at 4 points. Feels like this is song number 7.
We'll try to get you to the double digits with song number 4.
All right, this is a lot better than the previous one. Ooh, this is my favorite one so far.
Oh yeah, this one's actually funky.
This doesn't even sound like a Western anymore.
It doesn't. It's the least one, but it still has like the. Yeah.
Initially, for sure. Not a clue what this is.
I know. I did you so dirty the night that you handed me the golden victory.
Right. Yeah, but I mean...
But hopefully this is like, it shines a spotlight on like a weird tiny thing of like Wild West stuff. It's not just
yes.
Red Dead.
The entertainment value is there.
Okay. In spite of your self.
Oh yeah, I'm sure the listeners enjoy me getting flustered.
Would you like to make a guess?
Nah.
Would you like your first hint?
Yes.
Okay. This song was composed by T. Lopes for a level that stars an echidna.
An echidna. An echidna is a very specific animal. Mm-hmm. I want to say there's... Oh. Knuckles is an echidna from Sonic the Hedgehog. But which Sonic game is this? Can you repeat the hint?
This is a song composed by T. Lopes.
Okay. There's so many Sonic games. And it's only from one of them, right?
Only one was composed by T. Lopes.
If only I knew that.
Chris, I tell you this like every other episode.
Yeah, but this is the kind of info...
This is like me forgetting who the Sony exec is.
All right, so it's my version of Kryptonite. This is clearly from Sonic Adventures.
What's that one?
Dang. I think it's the one... Is that the one BioWare made?
Oh, really? Oh, that's the one with the terrible animations. Your next hint. This is the Sonic game that was way better than Sonic Forces.
Oh, okay. This has to be Sonic Mania.
Yeah!
All right, yeah. And the one good Sonic game. How did I not realize that? So the reason that hint makes sense is Sonic Forces and Sonic Mania both came out the same year. And 2017, I want to say. And one of them was good and one was not. The bad one being Forces. All right. Final song, which is supposedly the easiest song.
Yeah, it's the easiest.
I've picked up 5 points so far.
I should have done a Call of Juarez song.
Missed opportunity.
To give it to you. But then, I don't know. I thought that would be suspect too. I didn't want to like get you with it.
Oh.
Despite you being the one that played it.
Right.
What are the chances you'd remember?
Slim. I have heard this song before.
Aha.
Oh,
there you go.
There it is. This belongs to Into the Breach.
Yes. Where can you hear this?
Which environment is this?
Oh my God. What's the theme of my thing?
Okay. So this is in the desert.
This must be the lab.
Clearly the ice tundra.
3 points, Chris.
Yeah, I love Into the Breach music.
You know what my hints were going to be?
What?
My first hint was going to be isometric mechs, and then the second hint was going to be subset games.
Quick and to the point, those hints were.
Yay!
Nice.
What's your total? Did you hit 10 points?
I just got 3, which brings me up to a total of 8 points.
All right. More than half of
More
mine.
than half.
Yeah, that was
Thanks
the goal.
to some generous hints. Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness.
If I did the emoticon hint first, might you have fared better?
No. Zero chance. I don't even think of XD being the laughing emoticon. It is. I just don't. That connection is not there for me.
Yeah, that's not need to know information.
Yeah. All right, that's going to be a wrap of a very lengthy Mobius
You
Tubes
say that
podcast.
every episode.
Well, lately we've been hitting it out of the park with these lengthy episodes. I don't know what to attribute it to. Just Just this confluence of lots of good games we're playing, lots of
Podcasts
news.
are just movies.
No, they're
You
not.
don't finish a movie and be like, what a lengthy movie, unless it's like Braveheart.
We disagree on this. I think the sweet spot for a podcast is between 60 and 90 minutes.
That's like, no, that's maybe if it was live.
The only reason I don't have an issue with our podcast being this long is because we release bi-weekly. So people get hungry to hear our voices. So we need to humor them for upwards of 2 hours.
Do you think I will have played the games that you want me to play by next episode?
Yeah, I
Witcher
want
3.
Hellblade, Wilmot's Warehouse. I actually want to hear you talk about that one.
I was going to use that for my first TikTok.
Okay. Is that still in the pipeline or not?
Oh
gonna
yeah, I'll
happen?
send you that. I just got to finish my actual job.
Here's a
first.
fun Easter egg for people who are listened this long. Heath, your Yakuza karaoke deepfake videos, which you posted to our Mobius Tubes Twitter. My coworkers got their hands on that.
And then did they put it on every monitor?
And that would have been, well, I mean, that joke
Nightmarish.
That joke would have been great if we weren't working remotely, which we are.
Yeah.
But what they did do was message feverishly about it. One of the coworkers was like, "Oh yeah, that was funny." But then the other guys were like, doesn't sound like you listened to it unmuted. He's like, "No, I didn't unmute it." And then they urged him mid-meeting to watch the video with noise. And then he liked it 10 times as much.
Oh, wait. He watched
When
deep fake without the sound?
it was just our lips. If you go to Twitter, our video is muted automatically.
Yeah.
I think he just watched it that way.
Oh, and he took that at face value?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Well, he eventually got the full picture.
Yeah, you need to know what's being said.
And then they asked me to sing it.
No.
All right. So that's
in the same style.
going to be the end of this episode. Please write to us your emails. Nathan, I hope you still listen to the show, and we appreciated your email. It gave us some great content. And that's going to be a wrap for this one. The email address, once again, is mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com. Any closing thoughts, Heath?
Thanks, everybody. I will humor Chris and do what he wants me to do. And by next episode, I don't know. It's like the same old.
Could be. Yeah. All right. We'll see you then.